Now, to turn to the work of the day, right? So right now, let's see, week 6, you're completing, your quiz access this today for chapter 3, right? And then you're also doing the ethics assignment. Now, I've tried to do as best I can to outline what needs to be done in that ethics assignment. Some students have not reviewed that video and have provided a essay, in some cases, a 1-page essay, 4 or 5 pages of text that tell me a lot of something but nothing, meaning that they're not specific enough about exactly what needs to be done or what the problem was and what needs to be done in the future. The outline I provided helps do that. Now, in the future, you might add some embellishment to that. But like I've said before, this is not an English class, and I'm not expecting you to write a perfectly flawless, accounting essay on unearned revenue. What I'm expecting is that you understand the concepts and are able to articulate them very, very precisely, right? And the way you do that is, at least in the accounting world, all right, is to put numbers to the words, right? And so putting numbers to the words means that very quickly, as I've outlined, you identify what the problem was and you visualize it. And the best visualization that most accountants understand is a journal entry. Okay. And then you tell what should have happened with another journal entry. And then you show what the adjustment should be. Okay. 1 sentence long with the journal entry. And then because this has to do with unearned revenue and the fact that in the future we have to do something as well, then you have to provide another entry about essentially adjusting the revenue in the future by debiting the unearned revenue and crediting revenue for a certain value in the future every month, right? Now that layout, essentially 4 sentences with 4 journal entries and a conclusion that says, please review and approve, right? That's going to be the tightest and most quick way of getting 20 points. If you don't do that, and instead you say, well, we should have done this, right? I'm going to say we should have recognized unearned revenue instead of revenue. We should have reversed that out. And then you say something like, in the future, we should make sure that we accrue revenue correctly. In those very vague terms, you'll get a 0. Okay? Because I don't know what to do with it. It's not actionable. It simply just tells me what I already know. But what I don't know was what the dollar values are, or what accounts to use, what debits and what credits are using. And because that's what fundamentally what you're learning how to do right now, I expect that to be embedded in the memo. And that way I see the learning actually happening. Otherwise, anybody can write a paper with a bunch of English, a bunch of words and sentences on it, but not say anything in actuality. So the best way of communicating this is through a sentence in a journal entry format. That said, I'm going to stop off that. I did provide a video a couple of weeks ago on this, so please go back and look at that and review it if you have questions. Right now, week 7 is coming up, and you're going to start on chapter 6. But the end of the week is going to be the exam. So you're going to want to do a combination of 2 things. One, definitely get through chapter 6 as fast as you can. Okay, and then prep for the exam. And the exam is on the 29th, which I think is a Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. So remember that if you're taking the exam on Saturday at 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening, I am unlikely unavailable. And so if you run into problems, you are likely not to be able to finish the exam. And that'll cause you some consternation, a little bit of anxiety. I don't want that. You don't want that. So please prep for the exam early. Take it early on Saturday in the morning. Wake up, get some breakfast, and enjoy getting refreshed, freshened up, study a little bit, take the exam. Don't wait until 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening to take it, because there will be problems. Also, please make sure that your proctorio is working. Okay, you can test it out. Go back to week 2 on the proctorio quiz where they test out the proctorio thing. Make sure your what is it called? This little thing up here, the extension is working for proctorio, right? Mine's not on right now because I don't need to have it on, but I do have access to the site. You can verify that it's working. Okay. But make sure those things are ready to go so that when you get to Saturday, you don't have problems. And in fact, if you can, take the exam Friday night, so that if you have problems, then I can help you as best I can through it. Or as your first line of defense really is to contact proctorio and get help there, because that's usually the problem. There's usually no other problems other than just your proctorio connection. Okay, so this is the end result. Chapter 6 is pretty straightforward. But I will go through that with you here in just a little bit. One note before I go too far. Yes. I provide these videos for a reason, right? It's not to be skipped over, ignored. You know, there's lots of content in here and some little tips here and there. As Todd said before, I kind of give you the keys to the kingdom. It's up to you to decide whether or not you want to come and get them. And I know when I go to I started using YouTube for a reason, and that's because now I can keep track of how many people are actually watching these, because in Canvas, I don't know who's actually watched these. So if I go to my Counting 201 classes, I can see, for example, like, and by the way, there's almost 40 students in this class. I think it's 38 students. And so if I look at last week, for example, right, week 6, right, all the stuff from week 6, 16 people watched the overview. Okay, I understand. Maybe you don't need to see everything about what's coming up, but I do provide some guidance there. There's 21 of you actually have reviewed the guidance on the ethics assignment, so that would mean 17 of you did not. And likely you're going to get the ethics assignment wrong the first time, and you have to do it 2 or 3 times. The chapter review, only half of you reviewed it. The office hours, this is from office hours I did on Thursday. It looks like virtually, well, less than 20% of the folks have actually looked at this. I can understand missing the intro. You know, I just throw that out there because that's just to get it started. But still, this is Saturday morning. Half the world is already 10 hours ahead of me, and only 5 or 6 people have watched the office hours information. So that means to me that you're not taking advantage of what's being provided, which also then leads me to another issue, right? I had a question from one student, I think on one of the announcements, about please do some videos on these problems. And I've mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again, all right? If I go to the book, right, and I go to one of these areas, yes, there's some reading here, and I understand that there's multiple ways of learning, right? There's visual learning, there's audio learning, there's practical learning. There's a lot of different ways, and we all have a combination of all of those learning styles in our toolbox. And we do better in some and not so good in others. Maybe some of our tools are a little dull. So yes, there's the reading component, but there's also down here, probably not in this one. Usually there's a video towards the end. Here we go, right? Need to know, right? So there's a video in the textbook that walks you through a actual problem and identifies what the solutions are. Now you may say, well, that's only one. Well, okay, that's one. If I go to the next page in control of cache, right, I'm going to go through here, I'm going to read it, I'm going to try to understand it visually, journal entries. I'm going to come down here, some more visuals, read, and what do you know? Another video, 1 minute long, on how to do another problem. And it asks you the questions, which of the following statements are true, right? And you go through it. If I go to the next one, same thing. You read some visualizations, more reading, some more visuals, some more reading, lots more reading, some more visuals, some more really good visuals about how these things work. And then what do you know? A video, 7 minutes long. There's a problem. They work you through the problem, right? And here's the solutions. Go to the next one, same thing. Day sales uncollected. You got a ratio. You got a formula that you have to learn. It walks you through it, gives you some examples, but no video. You're probably saying, Brother Lewis, I gotcha. Okay, you're right. But guess what? I come over here to week 7 supplementary study materials. It's going to take me to the textbook eventually, but it's got 3 video resources on internal control, bank reconciliations, and day sales uncollected ratio. Usually these 2 are pretty simple. This bank reconciliation throws people off a little bit. So guess what? You can come in here, you go to the study, the support pieces. And this, guess what? Only 1 student, well, okay, we're on week 6. I'll show you something else in just a little bit. But anyway, this tells me how many people have actually used this, right? But if I go into the preview, this is what you see. It has these short videos, like basic banking services, right? Knowledge check. So you watch the video and you check your knowledge. Once again, another one, bank statements. You watch the video, you check your understanding. Another one, bank reconciliation. Now this is a little bit more in depth, okay? It actually walks through different components of a bank reconciliation. Here, another video. These are what? That's 4 minutes long. And you check your understanding. Another one, bank reconciliation steps, right? What do you do to go through a bank reconciliation? This one is how long? A minute. And guess what? It walks you through the statement, the steps, which is very helpful because you have to walk through these, right? You have to check your now bank reconciliation illustration. So this is actually one that walks you through the whole process, right? Another video. And how long is this one? 3 minutes. And it gives you a problem to work out, and then you have an answer to provide, right? And it gives you actually the explanation as well. So you can walk through and understand, okay, well, this is how it all came together and how they came to a solution. Another one, here's the journal entries associated with it. So you've done the reconciliation. So now what are you supposed to do? All right, well, here's the journal entry to adjust for, in this case, the 150. The difference, where's cash interest revenue? Okay, this one's the interest revenue component. So where is that showing up? Right there? No, that's the 150 for something. Bank statement, add the deposit in transit, add these outstanding checks. You have a book balance, you have to add the collected note, interest earned. Oh, this is a video, and then this is the problem right here. Sorry, this is the problem, and then this is the journal entry that's necessary to fix this problem, which of course they'll show you in here as well, but it's a different problem. Okay, so I don't know how many, this is, what was that? How many? This is 6 different videos on how to walk through a bank reconciliation. Now, I guarantee you this, I may be smart, but I'm not this smart in terms of developing content and being able to provide it for students in a way that's very, very logically ordered and helps you through the whole process of a bank reconciliation, right? And that's one of the key issues in this chapter. And in fact, you can argue if I go back to this, this this module for chapter 6. Chapter 6, support form. These three, where is it? Oh, wrong one, not the support form. My bad. That support form is where you guys ask each other questions. Oh, where was this? Oh, supplementary study materials. These three issues are the core issues that are in chapter 3, right? For week 6. Now, because I said that I could see who's done what if I go back to chapter 3? Yeah, chapter 3. And I look at the support video assignment. Where's it at? Crew entries, chapter 3. Where did this go? Well, I guess I'm gonna have to find it this way. So just, as an FYI, if we just go back to, what you're finishing up this week, to see how many people actually use the support videos. Supplemental study materials. Let's go to accrual accounting. And let's go to this window, and we will see exactly how many people have gone through this process. 6. Right? 6 people. And 2 are in progress. So that's 8 out of 38 people. Almost less than 20% of the individuals in this class have used this video process and learning process to answer questions that they have. And not all of you need it. There's probably 5 to 10 of you in this class that are getting A's and are working through it just fine. Now, maybe some of you that are getting those A's are doing it, doing this, right? They're using these videos to get through the material and understand it. But this is what it was for chapter 3. Let's go back and look at chapter, let's see, week 4, and see the same thing. And I think I mentioned this very early on in the semester, and maybe it didn't quite click, but maybe now that we're getting through some very difficult parts of the material, it's timely that I reemphasize this. So like we just finished up supplemental study materials for all, last week, the stock issues, right? So let's say we want to understand issuing common stock. Right, we would come into the textbook, we would have had all these videos to do. And I know this was a big problem because we actually went through it on the exam. 7 students actually went through this process of the videos, right? So it tells me that over 80% of the student population is not using these as part of their preparations and part of their learning. Right, so please use these as well as some of the videos I'll do. Most of my videos are retrospective, except for in some cases like during office hours where I'll actually go through some of the problems that you're facing and do a hands-on version of questions that are current, right? Not necessarily that are generic, and apply to all. All right, so enough on that. Videos. Okay, so now the next thing is I wanted to go back over to here. Where's my workbook? I lost it.